Welcome to Women Unleashed.
So we are live from Dubai today with my friend Rosie, who I haven't seen in years. 2, 3? Pre-COVID? Yeah. Pre-COVID times. So me and Rosie actually met when I went to do aesthetics training with her. So she is an aesthetic practitioner. She's got her own... Actually, you know what, Rosie? You tell us about yourself. You tell us what you do.
Do you know what? Honestly, I down-talk myself all the time. It's like a default thing.
I'll hype you up.
You hype me up.
I'll hype you up. Go
My
on.
wingman. So I have got a training academy. So I had an aesthetics clinic.
Yep.
And then it's now 2 shops, and I've got a training academy as well.
2 shops now.
They're joined together at the back.
Oh, amazing.
I had one, and then I was obviously getting bigger and bigger and building, and then took the shop on next door. I had to pay someone out to leave because they were not leaving.
I remember this story.
You can't afford the shop, you need to leave.
I need the space.
You need to pay me a lot of money. I was like, oh. So anyway,
Worth it.
Like paid her out. She was gone, and I was straight in there, and then knocked them together at the bottom, and yeah, here we are.
And how long have you been doing aesthetics for now?
So I have been in that beauty industry 7 years.
Long
Time, but I've been doing aesthetics about 5 years.
And you are like one of the best in the industry.
Well, I would like to think so. I would like to think.
100%. Where are you based?
So I'm in Manchester city centre.
And what's the name of your academy?
So Manchester.
So if you don't follow her already,
Viso Manchester.
and if you want any work done, she's the best. Absolutely amazing.
Natural or really enhanced, whatever.
Whatever you
Whatever your vibe.
do. Okay, so the reason I've kind of wanted you to come on this podcast is because me and you have been very much so going through similar things. So I've recently been through a breakup, and although me and you haven't seen one another in 2-3 years, like, you have always still been there for me. You've always messaged me, always making sure I'm okay. And we're always there for one another, which I think is really nice. Like, it's one of them relationships where you don't have to see each other every day and you don't have to speak every single day, but you're still there for one another.
I think it's so important to have that supportive network around you, like connections. When you're going through something, it doesn't matter whether you see that person or you speak on the phone. Like, you need people around you, especially when we're going through what we've gone through.
And I think not everybody's like that. Because I have friends that I speak to most days, and
This in their own zone.
yeah,
Really not the hyper focused on themselves, which is fine. Obviously, that's what you want to do. But when you're just hyper focused on yourself all the time and you don't really care for others,
no,
it's just like it's like living on an island by yourself.
they're literally so isolated from everything. So the topic today I want to talk about is trauma bonding. Now, I feel that this is something that not many people know about. They probably go through it, but they don't know enough about it. And I feel like we got chatting about it and we was like, oh my God, we've both.
I remember saying the word trauma bonding to you, and you were like, "Oh my God, I know about it. Do you know about
This is me. Oh, this is me. I'm going through this. Oh my God, I'm not alone.
Am I a psycho?"
Do I need to go to a psychiatric hospital? That's literally how I felt, thinking, oh my God, what the hell? So do you want to tell us a little bit more about trauma bonding, kind of how you experience it and how you would kind of define it?
Trauma bonding is like a minefield. So it could be with a parent or guardian. It could be with a spouse. It could be friendships. It could be work. Trauma bond is where you are bonded in I would say a toxic relationship, something that is not healthy for you. But because you are so attached to it in a negative way, it's very, very hard to get out of it. I also do think it's very much like an addiction. So
Yeah, of course.
an alcohol addiction, whatever, I do think it's very much an addiction to a relationship.
Or that person and that feeling that they kind of give you, even though you get the good feelings with them and the feelings of happiness, but you also get the bad, and there's no like good balance between them. It's more so that they cause you to feel a certain way, and then you crave that and you want more and more and more of it, even if the relationship isn't healthy. Like you say, it's toxic.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here and say the word narcissist.
Oh,
Do you think trauma bonding is developed from narcissistic people, behaviours?
110%. And yesterday I actually saw a quote, and it said, so basically a narcissist would say, how dare you ruin my reputation by telling the truth about the things I said and did.
Ooh.
How true is that?
Ooh, I've got
I
goosebumps.
know, me too. It's not cold in here at all.
It's a little bit, but I've still got goosebumps.
Yeah, literally. I was like, wow, that is so, so true. And I think that kind of leads then to gaslighting and love bombing and how the bond that you have with that person, the trauma bond, makes you feel.
Yeah. So love bombing, that's a massive one for me. In the trauma bond that I've had at the moment, I've never experienced a love bombing, but I've had that before in the past. So I want you to tell me a little bit more about love bombing, because how I think about it might be different to what you think.
So how I interpret love bombing is basically the person, they give you, they give you that love and they show you affection and whatnot, and then they'll do something to really upset you and really hurt you, but then they'll be like, but I love you, and like kind of come back to you and kind of worm you back in.
Like a push-pull.
Yeah.
It's almost like an attachment style as well, so it's like pushing you
away and then pulling you back in. Yeah.
But I think that's a massive head fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to swear on here, but I'm going to just say
Of course.
Anyway.
So yeah, no, for me, I've experienced that in both my relationships that I've been in. More so the fact that you love that person, you give them everything, and then you don't even have to do anything wrong. Like, you don't have to do anything wrong. They do something wrong, but they start to blame you. And then they kind of want to worm you back in and be like, oh no, but I love you so much. And, like, I still want you there and stuff like that. And it's just traumatic.
One thing I've really struggled with, like touching base with what you've just said, Dom, is when upsetting them. And so upsetting that person, and you're so worried about upsetting that person because you're scared you're going to get the silent treatment, you're going to get dismissal, rejection,
walk out on you.
Walk out. I'm not talking about this. I'm walking away, and then silence for days. It's honestly, emotionally so draining.
It is. That's giving me goosebumps as well, because I've been through that so many times. It's like you're constantly walking on eggshells, and you don't say anything wrong, you don't do anything wrong, because
say something slightly wrong, that's it, game over. So then what you feel like you're having to do is to recompensate, chase after them.
Exactly.
Do you want this? Can I do this for you?
And you're the one apologising, and you've done nothing wrong.
Then you do this once or twice, and if you with a narcissist, the clock onto it straight away, and then that's it. They're like, right, I know that she has a slightly anxious attachment style. She will submit to my narcissistic behaviours, and then that's it. Like, you're on this cycle and you're on a treadmill, and it's like a downhill.
And you just can't get out of it. And people that, like, we're both pretty anxious attachment styles, but people that are like, for example, secure or avoidant, I don't think that they won't experience it the way that we do, and I don't think they'll understand. They'll be like, well, why can't you just walk away, or just tell that person to fuck off?
I don't understand why you're getting so upset. Like, that is so true. Like, an avoidant or an anxious avoidant attachment style is. Did you know that we actually attract each other? So like an anxious attachment style and an avoidant
tongue twist.
We actually like attract to each other, and it's like a recipe for disaster.
And I think it's because they lack what we need, and vice versa. Yeah. So obviously, that's why we're
Really harsh.
It's true though. It's true though. Like, they fill in a missing piece of us and need something that we need, and we do the same to them. So it's just like a never-ending cycle. What are we gonna do?
We get out of this.
Literally, but you can change your attachment style. Like, it is something that you can do, but you just need to be. But first of all, you need to be aware
of what you are,
your attachment style. So, yeah, for us, it's anxious. We know we're anxious. How can we make this better? How can we work on it? How can we avoid getting in these situations? And it's hard, because when you're in that bond with that person, that trauma bond, you feel like you can't get out. You don't want to.
And people don't understand. They'll say, why are you putting up with that shit? Like, why are you being treated like this? You have got so much going for you.
Yeah. Like,
Dom, you'll hear this all the time. You're gorgeous, you're successful, you've got so much going for you. And then you think, and then you start to think even worse about yourself. And actually, that's not what you need. What you need is someone to say, no, I understand what you're going through. What can we do to help you? Like, delve into it, therapy.
You feel like a mug. You do, because people looking at you like, why is she like this? Like, why are you being so stupid? Just walk away. It's obvious what that person's doing to you. And you just can't do it.
Or why are you going back? Or like all these things, like you don't understand the pain inside, either being away from that person because of your trauma bond or being in it and trying to get out of it because, again, it's a trauma bond. It's like you are literally tied together with chains that people can't see.
No, exactly. And I'm glad that obviously we've got one another so we can speak about it. Like, I've rang you before and I've spoke to you and you've rang, and exactly, and we understand each other so we can give each other advice and support, because we're trying to obviously help each other to kind of get out of this situation, but we also understand what it feels like to be in the situation. So do you think that trauma bonds stem from childhood, or do you think it's something that you can develop?
Oh, this is a really good one, you know.
That you can develop like later down the line through obviously relationships?
So I'll be honest, I don't think my trauma bond has stemmed from childhood, young childhood, because I've had a really good upbringing. My parents are amazing. My dad works really hard. My mum has also been a businesswoman. Like, they're both amazing people. They've given me a lot of love. We've always had nice holidays, a lot of support. My mum was at home for many of our younger years.
Oh, so that's good. So you had that secure attachment with her.
That my dad worked away quite a bit, but obviously had to do what I had to do for the family. We just had an amazing childhood, but then I used to carry weight. I had issues with weight for years. Obviously, I've had a gastric sleeve now, which I would love to talk about that
On another episode, of course.
Of course. But yeah, so I've had a lot of issues with my weight, and with that at school, I was bullied really badly. So I ended up changing secondary schools 3 or 4 times, thinking that was gonna,
So sad.
yeah, so thinking that was gonna like change my experience. And obviously every single school I went to, I got the same, but just from a different group of friends, having to make new friends again. So that's definitely, it was more, not teenage years, like end of primary school, beginning of high school years. So that's definitely where my trauma stemmed from. Yeah, between like 10, 13. Yeah, that's where it was really bad for me.
So it was more like the insecurities and then how other people were treating you.
Yeah, insecurities, people like looking at me and not accepting me for the way that I was, making me feel bad. And then my parents supported me on a bit of a weight loss journey, a healthy one, but a weight loss journey when I was about 14. So we broke up for school year 8, and I was obviously quite big. And then I'd started to lose weight just before we broke up from school. Then we had 6-7 weeks off, and I lost loads of weight in that time. Went back to school, and everyone was like,
Who is she?
new hair, new body. She was like, lost loads of weight. And I was like, I looked, to be fair, I think I looked quite good, and I felt really good about myself. And, you know, everyone wanted to be my friend then.
Yeah, of course. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just hit puberty, and that's obviously when you start meeting men or women, if you, that's that side. And there was a guy that picked me out. I was walking home from school. I was like 16 years old, and he picked me out and he said, you're going to be with me. And it was the worst person ever. Like, he was like danger. Oh
no.
And it was like, so up and down. And then I was in a relationship with him where he just wasn't very nice. It was very toxic. So I was like, I was young, trauma from bullying, and then going out with a guy that was pretty toxic.
Yeah. So it kind of all stemmed from that, to a bad start.
For a bad start from a
And
relationship.
that's it. Like, it just takes that one person to kind of do you damage, do you harm, and then that's you for the rest of it, and you need to work on it, you know?
Yours stemmed from?
I would say mine was, but a little bit of both. So I think it's a little bit of childhood trauma and past relationships as well. So when, obviously I'm Polish, I don't know whoever's listening to this podcast, I know you know. So I moved to the UK when I was about 6. Now, obviously when we lived in Poland, my mum first went over to the UK, and then my dad went over after, probably about a year later. So I lived with my dad for a long period of time. He was obviously doing the job for my mum, and for him, he was my main primary caregiver. So we had a really, really strong bond. And then his time came to go and moved to the UK as well before they could bring me over. So I stayed with my granddad. Now, they told me this story probably only just like last year, when things started to creep up, like as to why I was being the way I was in relationships. And they said that when my granddad was taking my dad to the airport with me, my dad gave me a hug, and then obviously they had to kind of rip me off my dad, and I was screaming saying, "Daddy, please don't go, please don't leave me." You know, like some days I tell that story and like my heart still really sinks, and I can really feel it. Yeah, like it. like your brain remembers the trauma in that's happened in the past, and you can't actually feel it. Like the mind gut connection is crazy. So I do get that sensation in my stomach, like it was just yesterday that it happened. Even though I don't fully remember the scenario of how it was, I remember the feeling. So obviously then I was with my granddad for probably about a year whilst my mum and dad were in the UK. So I didn't see my parents. So that, yeah, it was around that time, about probably like 6 to 12 months.
And how old are you at this thing?
5. I was 5.
For your age at 5 years old, to not see your parents for a year is like a big thing.
Yeah, huge. Like that attachment, that security that I had from my parents, and obviously more so my dad at the time, it just got took away from me. I just felt like my heart was shattered to pieces. Like I lost my security, I lost my parents, it was just like you feel rejected. You feel like the closest people to you who are meant to be your caregivers are just gone. And I don't blame them at all. Like, I'm not blaming them, because what they were doing is they were trying to give me a better life. Exactly, coming to the UK.
I think nowadays we are more self-aware. So like when we raise our kids, and not, it's like a generalization thing or a generation thing where you have to be more aware when you're raising your kids, because you don't realise the damage that you're doing. Now we have things like therapy, we've got podcasts, we've got
People are more aware.
Online, we're speaking more about things.
And more open, and like that's why I'm quite open about my story, because people often say to me, Dom, like you literally speak about anything and everything. And I'm like, yeah, because I know this, if I can help somebody out there that's going through the same thing, or try and help them understand, then I'm doing one thing right, you know. Because
To relate, so I like to do this on my social media, and obviously I know that you
we're both doing
everybody knows what I'm having for breakfast, basically. No, but I love to relate, and I love to show my personality. Some people will say that's really unprofessional, Rosie, and I think it's a little bit too much. And I think, listen, you're not seeing nude pictures of me. You're not seeing me in the nudie. You don't know what's really going on in my relationship. You don't know the traumas in my life. But I will tell you things like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a good day.
Yeah, and you need to, because I feel like social media nowadays is just full of people pretending that they're okay when they're not. Do you know what I mean?
And this is obviously a two-dimensional way of looking at it. But yesterday I went to a beach club, and I was thinking, I'm so nervous to go because of what I look like. Actually, when you go there, you realise everyone's just got a human body.
Yeah.
And it's the same like with your mental health. I feel like you feel like you're in it on your own and by yourself, and then you speak up and you're like, wow.
All these people start coming out the woodwork.
And I'm struggling too, and you think, wow, I'm actually not the only fish in the pond.
Yeah. So going back to kind of the trauma bonding. So yeah, obviously then my parents came here, and then we just got on with life. Everything was normal. And then my first relationship, like proper relationship that I had, was when I was 16. And the guy was a few years older than me. And we were probably together for about 4 years. Now, he was very manipulative at the time, which obviously I was younger. Like, I was looking up to him. Like, he was being very manipulative towards me. And I didn't realise at the time, you know, one little thing that you'd do wrong, and he'd just be like, you know what? I wouldn't even do anything wrong. I just have to tread on eggshells, because I wouldn't know how he would respond and how he would react. And then he'd always threaten. I remember this like it was yesterday. He would always text me saying, Dom, we need to talk. Nobody likes that sort of
That's
message.
actually made me feel a bit sick.
Dom, we need to talk, right?
Sat with it all day.
Yeah, literally. And then I'd be like, okay, then let's meet up to talk. He's like, no, I'll just text you. I'm like, well, that's not talking, that's texting. Like, bearing in mind, I was young then anyway. I was younger than him. He was older. I was like, that.
And you're trying to hold out the communication.
Yeah.
Brand.
And he's basically like, oh, I don't think we're going to work out. It's like, we've been together for like 3 years. Like, what are you talking about? And then we'd be fine, whatever, we'd get over it. And then he'd do it again. And then again. It'd just be like constant.
Every few months.
Yeah, every few months. That would creep up every few months.
And they know what they're doing, because if you did that every week, you would get so bored, you'd walk away.
Yeah.
Like there's a trauma bond, but no trauma bond is strong enough to withhold that within a week. But it's every few months.
And then he was like it was like he was walking out on me basically. And then how the relationship ended up ending, I actually caught him cheating. So
What a guy.
I walked into a bar. He said he was going out with his best friend, and I was like, all right, okay, fine. I was like, text my friend. I was like, shall we go out? Because I was like, something's not right.
Let's go and spy.
So I literally walked into a bar, and he's there kissing another girl. So I literally walked up to him, and his mate could see me, and I tapped him on his shoulder, and he just turned around and looked at me. And he was like, it just didn't know what to say.
So good of you, because I think I would have karate chopped him in the balls.
I was like, I didn't know what to do. So anyway, I walked out. After that time, we were split up for a few months. We got back together, didn't we? And guess who apologised?
You.
Me, for catching him cheating. Like, this is trauma.
Oh, sorry, I can't.
I'm so sorry, I caught you cheating.
I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, literally. And then, anyway, we got back together for maybe like a few weeks, and then I was just like, no, this is not it. And then he ended up just leaving for that girl again, and I was like, you're not worth my time. I was young. I thought, I'm just being young and stupid. Like, it's a lesson. But again, that was him walking out on me, and that was the same sort of feeling that I experienced with my dad, and I never wanted him to leave. I was like, it's as though you feel like you're saying, oh, please don't leave me. Please don't let go. Please don't leave me. I'm sorry. Like, you've done nothing wrong, but you still apologise.
Them to you want them. You put their feelings before yours all the time.
100%.
So it's like with my situation with the trauma bonding, it's I constantly want to impress people. So everyone says you're really successful. You work really hard, and yes, I do work hard, and I do think I am successful. That's the first time I've said that.
I'm proud of you.
But I always think I'm not doing well enough, and I constantly need to please. It's like I want people to accept me, so I need to lose more weight, or I need to. So again, I had a gastric sleeve like a few years ago. I could have done it other ways. I'm not saying that I regret it, because I definitely don't. But again, even like 20 years later, it's still showing up that I'm getting things done because I want people to accept me for what I look like.
When actually it doesn't matter, because you've got an amazing personality. You're such a funny, amazing, caring person. Like, doesn't matter what size. No, you are. Like, doesn't matter what size you are and how you look. But I understand it that like that stems from within, and everyone has their own little ways of how they feel and as to kind of why they feel that way. You know.
I've definitely done that with men with regards to back to the trauma bonding. It's like I tend to do this with men. It's like, you know, I can show you can be an amazing wife, I can be an amazing girlfriend, you know, I can look after you, I can look after myself, you know, this is what I can offer you. And I will literally take the bare minimum. So like I will do offers.
Goosebumps again.
I can line it up, and this is, again, I would never say this out loud because it sounds really big-headed and you sound so like self-obsessed.
Yeah.
It's like I can offer and put this on the table. This is what I'm offering you. You give me 5% of that and I will accept that, because all I want is love, and like you don't have to give me everything. I just want you to love me.
That's all we want. All we want is love. We just want to be loved.
So sad, that, isn't it?
I keep getting goosebumps. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh God. No, it's true. I'm the same. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be to that person, well, I've given you this, and this, and this. I'm not going to say that, because I'm giving it to you because I love you. And that's what I'm going to do when I love you. But I will also accept the bare minimum just for you to love me. Like, that's so sad, and it's so wrong in so many levels.
Imagine though, if there was someone out there. So imagine if we worked on our anxious attachment styles, and we met someone that maybe had the same attachment style or had a secure attachment style, because I'd love to be a secure attachment.
Oh my God, me too.
I mean,
I'm
I would
working.
literally pay money.
Yeah, literally.
Like dough. I would pay actual.
I would pay thousands.
Can you buy that?
Can you buy security? Can you buy secure attachment style?
New personality. But no, I would love to have that back, where they're like, do you know what, I want the bare minimum. I'll take 5% from you. You might have all of that, and that's great for you, and you've worked hard for that, but I will literally take 5%, and all I want you to do is love me. Imagine like if we met someone
like roles reverse. I would love that. But that's what I'm kind of working towards now, the fact that I don't want to just settle because I want to be loved. Like, don't get me wrong, I've loved both the relationships I've been in. I've loved the people as they are. It's just been quite unhealthy in so many ways, and I would never regret being in them relationships, because they've kind of taught me and made me realize what's happening and why and what I need to work on. So history kept repeating for me. Obviously that first relationship, then the second relationship was the same. It was always the men walking out on me. My dad walked out on me. My first ex walked out on me. My second ex walked out on me.
abandonment.
It's abandonment.
Yeah.
And that's why I always crave security. I want security. I want love. I want affection. I want someone to give me stability. I have stability in myself. Like, I've got my own business. I do well for myself. Fine. Yeah.
Keep everything on such an even keel.
Yeah. But I just want that someone else to give me that. And that's what I'm starting to understand, that that's not what you need. You need to be secure in yourself, and you need to be happy on your own. And then somebody's just an addition to it. But I get in a place where I'm happy with that, and then someone comes along and I just go back to my old ways. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's like the flicker switch. It's like you're on a set of weighing scales, and you literally get them just right, just even. So you've got a balance there, and then someone big and heavy, not necessarily, but like someone big, heavy in personality, like big personality, they come along and they just tip those scales slightly, and then that's it, boom, you're off balance.
It's funny that you say that because both of my relationships, the guys that I were with, have big personalities. They're both really funny and macho.
We do go for this similar sort of.
Yeah, it's like if you've got a good sense of humour, you're funny, like you're easy to get along with, I'm sold.
I know. So I love a tradesman.
Yeah, is that a thing?
It's a thing. So honestly, I mean, please, if I'm going to do this podcast now, I'm going to be really, really honest. Like, I might not share it for a little while, but yeah, I love a tradesman. All my boyfriends have been tradesmen.
Oh, really?
Apart from my first one, it was illegal activities, you know, when I was 16 years old. And then I was like, I'm never doing that.
Is that a bit of a fetish?
Yeah, do you know what you can actually go on a trading website, like find.
Stop it, you've been looking. You've been looking?
Look, like years ago, I was like, I just love like a plumber, joiner, electrician, builder, whatever, throw it my way. If you wear Dickies and you come in covered in brick dust or dirt,
oh my God.
straight in my basket.
You know what? That's just kind of like clicked for me. So gym guys, obviously, because I'm into the gym, but trainers / instructors, like that's just clicked for me. So my first,
that your thing?
Yeah, because my first boyfriend, he wasn't really into the gym, so let's exclude him. But since then, I've dated guys, and every time I've dated the guy, he was either my personal trainer before, or he was a gym instructor. And then my last boyfriend that's how we met, because he was a gym instructor as well. So it's like,
it's because you're into the gym as well.
Yeah.
Like I am not
into plumbing. I'm into plumbing.
I'm into plumbing. Honestly, you're gonna find this crazy, but I love joinery. Like I love woodwork,
You know what?
and I literally
You do.
I do.
I've seen
my
you.
DIY. Honestly,
Yeah.
one box of tools, they do get used. So that's why we've got some sort of like connection there. You with your gym guys in the gym.
100%.
Mine with like woodwork, carpentry.
I've seen you on your Instagram, like it's like 7 o'clock in the morning and Rosie's there hammering some wood into the floor. Yes.
I tightened the sink at work the other day, and the girls were like, "The sink's falling off." I was like, "Don't worry, girl,
I'll do it.
I'll sort it."
You don't need a guy. Who
It's
needs
a
a
guy.
man? Who needs a man? I can do this. I've got my own toolbox.
Actually, I think it's come out of its box like a couple of times, but you know, I've still got it. Still paid the money.
I'll do it. Exactly. That is so funny. But you saying that's actually triggered me to think, what is my pattern? But it's kind of what you enjoy and where you spend quite a lot of your time. So you're not going to find a man, you go clubbing, whatever. You're not going to find your perfect man there.
But I always tend to find as well, so the guys that I've been going with always have had an issue with narcotics. So I have always had that issue there, whereas I'm not. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a drink.
Yeah.
I like to socialise. I'm a social butterfly.
Oh, me too.
Don't drink all the time. I can leave it, take it. I can have a good time without it. But I'm quite a social person. But I always tend to go towards guys that have got issues with drugs, whether that's to release how they feel, stress with work, heal, cover up their emotions. And with that comes depression, anxiety. It changes you a person completely, I think, when people take drugs. You are not yourself. Who you are, that is not who you are. People say, oh yeah, they bring me out of the shell. No, they don't. They cover you up and make you a completely different person. But then you're with someone that has that issue and they're taking drugs to cover up who they are. Like, that's not on you to fix them. You're trying to, you feel like obliged, don't you? You're with them, like, you feel like you want to heal them, help them.
But you can't help them, like, unless they want to help themselves, and they'll keep running away from it. So do you think that you can heal a trauma bond?
I think you can't heal with that person. I feel like if you have a trauma bond to that person,
You ain't going to heal it.
I don't think you can, unless they did a lot of work and you did a lot of work. I think they would have to accept and understand what a trauma bond was as well. So I don't know. You've asked me a question there where I feel like,
Personally, I don't think you can. I think when you've got that trauma bond with that person, that ain't going to heal. Like, them sorts of people are not open to understanding, and they don't want to be the ones to admit that, yeah, I'm causing you this pain. I'm this sort of person, you know? Like, I genuinely don't think with that person that you can heal it.
Do you think, though, I'm going to ask you a question here. So we mentioned narcissists. So do you think you can heal a trauma bond with a narcissist? Absolutely not. Do you think you could heal a trauma bond if they weren't a narcissist and it was your trauma?
Yeah, yeah, possibly. I don't know. It's actually quite hard because you both, obviously, like you said, you both have to be aware and you both have to kind of go through the healing journey and be open to doing it and knowing, but it's just whether you're going to slip back into your old ways and habits with that person.
Yeah. So do you mean, can you heal a trauma bond like yourself so that you don't get trauma bonded to people in general? Or do you mean with like that specific?
It's that specific person.
Where I'm at now, no. I don't think there is much coming back, much healing from it. Like, and you know, Dom, I've slipped back into something where I was like, yeah, I was on this hype. I was like detached from it. I was doing really, really well.
It's so easy
And then
done.
slipped back in it. And that person had done wrong by me and had kind of admitted that they'd done wrong by me. And then I'm like, oh, let's go to Dubai. I'll pay for it.
You know what?
It's like, wow. So what?
What do you mean you paid for it?
Oh, honestly, yeah. So I'm like, oh, come on, I'm going here. Like, let's go. Like, that's a trauma bond. So that's
Yeah,
me
yeah,
being
yeah.
honest and vulnerable in a way by saying, you know.
But they take advantage of that.
So it's complete advantage.
And they keep you close. They keep you close because they know that they'll know, they basically know we'll come running back.
Yeah. So when you were saying before that you had apologised for them cheating, it's like it resonates with me so much because I've got goosebumps again. That's like what I've just done even at 30 years old, and you think, wow.
Give yourself a tap on the head. Like, what is going on?
But I look back on this and think, wow, one day, can you believe you were sat in that and like you're healed and you're doing really well and you're strong
I know.
and you're powerful and you're going to get through this?
I'm trying to get through it now, and I'm just like in my own head thinking, am I going to spiral back into it? And I really, really don't want to. Like, I know what I want now, and I don't want the bare minimum, and I don't want to have that toxic relationship with somebody where I'm the one apologising. I actually want somebody to look up to me and be like, literally kiss my feet. Do you know what I mean? Like, worship the ground I walk on and treat me right and not have to cause me emotional damage, because that trauma bonding actually affects your health so much. So much. Like,
Physically as well,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mentally, you are so tired. And mentally, if you're tired, your body ends up catching up with that. So I know you've touched base with me before. Like, I want to hear more about like hair loss and things like that. And you talked very much around like your gut health and things like that, and your thyroid. But I think a lot of it probably was stress.
Stress. I mean, I've been diagnosed with chronic stress for probably about 2 years now, and I think it's just obviously stress builds up over time, and I've been through so many things this year with stress, emotional stress as well. Obviously, that's led me to have to.
I don't know how you've coped, to be honest.
With my health's just got so much worse, and it's declined like severely over time. And I actually had my bloods redone a couple of weeks ago, and they're much worse than they were 12 weeks prior to my ex leaving. Yeah, because I'm living in it and my stress is so high. Like, I'm constantly stressed. I'm constantly anxious. Like, my heart rate's like beating 100 beats per minute, you know? And that's one, like, symptom of a trauma bond, being anxious all the time. So what feelings do you experience?
So sickness. So usually I'm okay. So I wake up, and at the minute, when I'm not in the trauma bond that I'm in, I wake up and I feel okay. I feel a bit sad. You know, it's sadness, like an overwhelming gush of sadness. When I'm in a trauma bond, so when I'm with this person, I'm actually with them in a relationship, I wake up and I feel really sick, anxious. How am I going to get through today?
You don't know if they're going to flip out on you, they're going to say something.
So what I do is I'll wake up and I'll think, right, I need to ring or text that person. So I'll ring them and say, hi, how's your day? I get like monotone.
Flat.
Yeah, I'm okay. Not how are you? So it's like dead. And then I'm even more anxious. So I'm like, right, what can I do to compensate and make sure this person...
I think, what have I done wrong? Like, why are you...
Yeah, why being off? So then I'm like, right, I'll make a gorgeous tea tonight. What should we have? Try and do something exciting. Then I've got to drive to work all day, run a business, deal with people, be happy. Like, obviously, you want to inspire people as well, motivate people.
Yeah,
but you're already struggling and you've got this thing in the back of your head that's niggling. Go to work all day. Driving home is when I get really anxious. And I'll drive home and then I'm walking through the door because I want this person to like me and to love me. I'm like happy again. And, you know, I feel like I'm on eggshells. Like, I want them to just be nice and love me back. So then I'm making tea, I'm cleaning. Like, I am so
people please.
overstimulated. Yeah, I'm overstimulated, like to the max. And then I'm answering all my messages and getting back to things because, again, running a business, work. And then it gets to like 10 o'clock, this person's asleep and I'm like wide awake, overstimulated, can't sleep. So I'm not then sleeping till like 12, 1 o'clock, and then I'm up at 6, boom, bad thoughts again. So it's like...
And it's like a cycle, vicious
cycle. So when we were talking before about like mental health and physical health, like I'm that mentally tired that I get so run down.
Yeah.
I'll get really ill for like a few days and it's just like horrendous.
Do you know with that actually, you've just made me think. So anytime I'd have an argument with my partner, I would always get ill, like straight away that day or the next day, I would be instantly ill. Where if we'd have an argument, like just like a cold flu type symptoms, straight away.
Body's in shock.
Yeah, my body's in shock, and it's just like your heart's racing, you don't know what to do, and yeah, it's awful, awful, awful. So your actual physical health is affected just as much as your emotional health and that side of things.
Yeah. So do you think you're still in a trauma bond, or do you think you're starting to come out the other side, like seeing light at the end of the tunnel?
I feel like I'm in between.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm in the middle of the tunnel. Like I can really see a really faint light, but then I have my days where I get pulled back, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like I rang you the other day. I was upset. I was crying. Do you know what I mean? Like I have my days where I'm still don't know how I'm going to get through it, and in my head I'm like, no, I'm over it. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not putting up with it. And then I have days where I'm like, I miss them so.
Yeah. So I always think when you're having got an itch on my leg, I always think when you're having one of those days where it's like a really bad day, it's a really awful day, and you sat crying, you don't know what to do. It's like you have to just breathe through, get through the hour, the next hour, and then you have to remember that day has been really bad. So surely you've got to have a good day.
Have a good day. Yeah, and I normally do, you know, I normally have a really bad day, and then the next day,
It'll be a great
day.
day.
Yeah, I'll feel great. I'll be like, I'm really, really good.
But then you're dreading because you know that bad day is coming back again. But that's part of your healing process. And I feel like where you're at now is you're going through the healing process. I feel like I could have got there, but then threw myself back in.
You just have to be strong, and I think in my circumstances it was a little bit different this time because I actually had no kind of say in what happened, and like that person got took away from me, and that's it.
I mean, I could go to jail, to be honest. I'd like to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd get locked up. If I could do what I would want to do, I would get locked up for life. So I don't think I fancy that. I quite enjoy my life at the moment, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, you've got a gorgeous life.
I mean, it's
just painful at the minute.
It is painful, and you know, like people might be like, oh, you've got such an amazing life, but it doesn't mean that I'm enjoying every single minute of it. Yeah, I might be in Dubai, I might be here, but I'm still going through everything what I was going through before. You know, it's just like, no matter where you are, if you're trying to run away from your emotions and your feelings, you're not going to run away from them. They're always going to be there with you. They're always going to catch up with you.
It's you've got to honestly put them on the table. Put your feelings on the table, address them, accept them. And there was a podcast that I was listening to. I need to find that. I think she's called Dr. Julia Michaels, and she said you need to allow that pain. So that pain, you need to feel it,
and then let it go
straight through you.
100%. That's what I'm doing. You know, like I feel as women we are better at feeling emotions and experiencing that, whereas guys tend to suppress it a lot more, and then they obviously feel it later on because they've suppressed it for so long, and then it catches up with them. But I've started. Yes, I've always been quite an emotional person anyway, always. It's just how I am. But I would say more so recently, I'm more open about it. And every time I feel, before I'd be like, I'll feel down and I won't text anybody. Now I feel down and straight away I'll message somebody. And I feel like I'm annoying people because it's like constant. I'm like, oh, I sound like a broken...
But if you're annoying people by talking about that, they are not your people.
Yeah.
Like your people will talk to you about it and accept it. And even if they're busy, they'll say, look, I really can't talk to you right now, but I promise you I'll talk to you later. Like, I'll talk to you later and talk to you about it. And if you get people that are finding, again, that it's, you said before, you've got those friends where you're talking to them, but you're not really talking to them about your situation. They're acquaintances. They're not
friends.
And I think friends or family, whether they're blood or not, like you should be able to go to them like 10 times over. They are part of your healing journey, and that's where you differentiate like who's actually there for you and who's not.
Yeah, no, I could not agree with that anymore. So for people that are going through a trauma bond or think they are going through it, because obviously we've spoke about a bit about it, so it might give people an idea of what it actually is, what would your advice to them be?
If you're going through a trauma bond, my advice would be to look at yourself and look at where that stems from, number one. So you're looking at that other person, or you're looking at the issue like very front on, and actually what you need to do is look at the deep-rooted issue.
Yeah.
Third, understand yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then write down or note in your head what your needs are, and then start doing a couple of things to help that. So whether it's, right, do you know what, I would usually ring and ask that person, do they want to come for a coffee with me? Like, do it by yourself. Like, do things for yourself.
Start enjoying being in your own company
Own
as well.
company, 100%.
And learning to not, when you get that craving, that feeling of texting them, because it is, you want to tell them everything. You always want to be around that person. Just pick another person to do it with, or do it on your own.
So I think that's the three main things for me would be actually looking at what your trauma is and where it stems from. Because it's this trauma that you've got right now, this trauma bond that you've got with this person that's not your first lot of trauma. Personally, I think it stems from childhood trauma, whether it's like young or adolescent. Look at where it stems from, accept it for what it is.
Dig deep, ask your parents, did something happen when I was a kid? Did something happen that could have triggered this? Like, really sit down and think about what you've been through.
Upset some people by doing that as well, by drawing up the past and asking them questions, because they might think you're passing blame on them. Like, I've spoken to my parents about it, and my mum's now thinking, oh my God, does it stem from me? Like, am I a really bad parent? I'm like, no, but you've brought me up how you've brought me up, and I have had some trauma from that.
It could be that your parents, I don't know, you went to the supermarket and your parents like left you with a trolley and then went somewhere and you thought they disappeared, then you're panicking straight away, stresses. The smallest things, or your parents, for example, praise you in front of friends and family, but in person they never praise you. Like, it could be such small little things that you don't actually think would cause you trauma, but they really do. As kids, we're very, very sensitive.
You need to look into that, dig
Yeah.
deep, like you said, look at your trauma.
And you need to kind of look at your younger self and think, right, that little girl there that I'm looking at now, why am I putting her through all this pain? Do you know, going through the trauma bond now, the relationships that you're in now, just think, why am I putting her through that pain? Like, if you were to speak to your younger self now, you won't be like, well, I'm going to stay with this person, it's really toxic and it's really, really going to hurt you, so I'm going to stay with this person.
Imagine if you had a daughter, like, what would you be saying to your children?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? I know, like, my mum said it to me, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
Again, it goes down to you don't understand.
you don't understand. Like, yeah, it's hard. What would your tips be?
I would say dig deep and find what it is that's caused you the trauma and work on your traumas. Do personal development, read books, listen to podcasts. There's a book called It Didn't Start With You, and it's such a good book about like childhood traumas and how obviously it didn't start with you. And just learn to change your habits, how you are with people, learn to prioritize yourself. And it's just rinse and repeat, just being strong. Like, yes, you might fall back into this trap of going back with this person, but eventually, if you're working on yourself, there will be that one time that it'll just click and you'll be like, never again, no more, I am done. And it will click, but you have to be aware. If you're not aware, you will just keep going back in the vicious cycle.
Because I was in a relationship, I was trauma bonded to that relationship as well. That the previous relationships, the one I'm in now, I was with them for like 4 years, and that person loved bombed me a lot. Like, so they showed me an awful lot of love. So that's what kept me in it. So it was like, I'm gonna do this, but I love you. I'm gonna bish bash and like, like,
but I love you so much.
But I love you so much, and like, you're my world, and I can't live without you.
But how can you love me when you treat me this way?
And then,
how can you love me?
The relationship I'm in now, I don't even get love bombed. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I'd get a little bit of
I
love
know.
bomb.
I
would
would
just
say
have a little bit of that. Sprinkle of love bomb.
Asking for it. Can you just tell me that you love me? Or I'd be like, do you love me?
Yeah.
Of course I do. Well, say it.
It's worse now. So like, I was in the previous relationship, I had a trauma bond, and I kept on going back, and it was like this push-pull, but I was fine. So like, when I didn't see them for a few weeks, I was a strong woman. I was like doing bits. I was doing things for myself.
Yeah.
And then broke that one off because, like you said, something just switched, and I was like, no, this is game over for me. Not in literally, this
not
person's giving me the ick now. When you get the ick, that's it. Like, I love the ick, like a little bit of the ick.
Yeah, but when you get the ick,
you need it sometimes. And then this second one, there's literally no love bombing. It's literally just like, I'm going to push you away, and then I'm going to give you a little bit back, and I'm like glitching onto that tiny little bit of, I've got the littlest bit of love there, and I think it's worse. Like, now I'm getting older, it's like getting worse, and I'm like, wow,
what is happening?
But I'm aware.
You're aware, and it's a step in the right direction, and that's what's the most important thing. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast and being so open and talking about it. I know, me too. It's been so nice. We will definitely do another episode at some point about gastric sleeves and other topics that we have, because I feel like we've got so much we could talk about.
So much to talk about. I'm just going to move here for a while.
I think that you should. That's a good idea.
Flights last night for like beginning of March. I'm definitely going to do it.
Come, we can film our podcast. And guys, if you want to hear anything from me and Rosie, if there's a topic you want us to cover, comment below and we will definitely cover that. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in next week's episode.